Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Mikel Arteta says Leandro Trossard should have been injured for 2 weeks. He's returned in 6 days. Mikel Arteta has shared that Arsenal forward Leandro Trossard should have been out injured for 2 weeks. Instead, he returned after 6 days and put in a brilliant display against Fulham. Trossard stole the show at Craven Cottage yesterday as he provided a hat-trick of assists in the first half. Gabriel Magalhaes, Gabriel Martinelli and Martin Odegaard all benefited from the Belgians' exceptional creativity on the day as they fired Arsenal to a 5-point lead at the top of the table. Of course, Trossard actually limped off the pitch during the Gunners' 3-2 win over Bournemouth last weekend and missed their trip to Lisbon on Thursday. Now Arteta has revealed that the Belgian forward returned to action well ahead of schedule in order to feature against Fulham. Speaking to Arsenal's official website, Arteta admitted that Trossard looked set to be out for around 2 weeks after picking up a knock last weekend. The Gunners boss said, "Top, but I am even more impressed with his willingness to be ready for today because he had an injury 6 days ago and probably that should have taken 2 weeks. He pushed and pushed the medical staff, he pushed himself and then he made that contribution. Those margins when you want to be out there are critical. So congratulations to him, the medical staff, and obviously for the performance he had." Trossard is turning out to be an inspired signing for the Gunners, despite the concerns over his attitude after a fallout with Roberto De Zerbi at Brighton. He is clearly fully invested in the project under Arteta at Arsenal. The Gunners were lacking a quality forward option outside of the likes of Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus. Edin Ketia really stepped up after Jesus' injury, but Arsenal seemed to be more of a fluid attacking side with Trossard in the false nine position. Mikel Arteta was furious with Martin Odegaard during Arsenal win yesterday. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta was delighted with yesterday's win over Fulham but wasn't happy with Martin Odegaard. The Athletic journalist Jordan Campbell shared on Twitter the Spaniard's anger towards Odegaard during the second half. It was another brilliant win for the Gunners yesterday. On paper, Fulham could have proved to be a real challenge to Arsenal's title charge. They have defied all expectations to sit comfortably in the top half of the Premier League. However, Arsenal simply overpowered them in the first half and capitalized on some poor performances from the host. Gabriel Magalhaes and Gabriel Martinelli scored just minutes apart to give Fulham a mountain to climb. And just before the half-time break, Martin Odegaard added a third goal and a very comfortable cushion. However, Arteta was still demanding Odegaard uphold the intensity that have put Arsenal in such a strong position this season. The £30 million playmaker wasn't allowed to let standards slip just because the game was already wrapped up. The Athletic journalist Jordan Campbell shared on Twitter what the manager was doing during the game. He said, "You can see how insistent Arteta is that they don't drop their level even though it's comfortable. Odegaard switched off at a quick throw there and he was straight out thumping his hands together." The Norwegian has been absolutely sensational this season and scored another brilliant goal yesterday. He was allowed too much space by Fulham's defenders in the box and gave Berlino no chance. Shaka Hislop said after the game he has to keep reminding himself that Odegaard is only 24 years old. Arteta has already made Odegaard Arsenal captain this season, despite his young age. He is a leader on and off the pitch and certainly benefited from Joao Palinha's absence in the middle of the park. Fulham were punished by giving the Norwegian too much space and couldn't get near him at times. Arsenal now have 2 more matches to concentrate on before the international break and the final run-in. Alan Smith really impressed by what he is seeing from Fabio Vieira at Arsenal lately. Arsenal cruised their way past Fulham to maintain their push towards winning the Premier League title. Goals from Odegaard, Gabriel and Martinelli ensured it was a comfortable afternoon at Craven Cottage for Mikel Arteta. It was the ideal afternoon, really. Arsenal were in cruise control and managed to get minutes into a few players who needed most. Of course, the main benefactor of that bonus was Gabriel Jesus, who came back onto the field to a rapturous reception. Another player who got more minutes in the tank again was Fabio Vieira. The midfielder has had a slow start to life in an Arsenal shirt, but commenting on Vieira on Sky Sports, former Arsenal man Alan Smith suggested that Vieira is really starting to show his worth lately. Smith said on Sky, "He isn't just starting to come into his own a bit at the moment, Vieira. He had a good game in midweek in Europe as well and did well there. Vieira will be hoping to play a big role between now and the end of the season for Arsenal. He will know he is not first choice, but if he can keep playing a small role, it will be big for the club. Most people are so focused on Arsenal winning the league that they are forgetting that Arsenal are still in the Europa League. This is where Fabio Vieira can be so important to them. Vieira can play a big role in those games, and at the end of the day, that's where having a top squad is so vital. Vieira has started to look the part when he's played lately, and in the crunch time of the season, having those sort of players available is crucial. Arteta says the Arsenal fans are a game changer for us. Given how outstanding and energetic Arteta and his team have been this season, if a Premier League fan had to bet big on which team would win the league, he would most likely select Arsenal. The Gunners appear to be the favourites to win the title, with 11 match days remaining and Arsenal being 5 points ahead of second placed Manchester City. It's the citizens who are rooting for Arsenal to fail, not the other way around. In any case, if you ask Arteta if he believes his team is the favourite to win the league this season, the Spaniard will still not say yes. After the Fulham game, Arsenal fans were singing, "We are going to win the league." This prompted Arteta to be asked in his post-match interview via Sky Sports if he would have joined Arsenal fans in singing the same. To that question, the Arsenal boss answered, "I don't know. I would be singing with them to support the team. They did exceptionally well, and the amount of people we have coming here, their attitude, commitment, the energy they are putting in, it's incredible. We are going to need that. It's a game changer for us." Arteta appears to be keeping his cool. He presumably doesn't want to get carried away by his team's early success and lost perspective on the bigger picture, which is understandable. Anyway, as supporters, let's keep the hype going because it's what keeps us moving. Arsenal target Moses Caicedo gives hint over future with social media activity. Brighton midfielder Moses Caicedo might have just given a hint about his future as the Arsenal target liked an Instagram post related to the Gunners' 3-0 win over Fulham on Sunday. Mikel Arteta's side were 3-0 winners over their London rivals earlier and have restored their 5-point lead at the top of the league after Manchester City closed the gap with a win over Crystal Palace on Saturday evening. Following that win, the North London club put up a post on Instagram highlighting the result, and Brighton's Moses Caicedo liked it, which follows transfer interest in the Ecuadorian from Arsenal in January. Arsenal submitted a £70 million bid for Caicedo in January, but the bid was rejected by Brighton, who did not want to sell the midfielder during the winter window. It's uncertain whether the North London club will move for the 21-year-old again, but it seems that Caicedo would like the move. Arsenal are not the only team interested in the Brighton star, as Liverpool have been monitoring his situation ahead of adding midfielders to their squad in the summer. Arsenal joined several clubs chasing defensive midfielder Palinha. One of the finest midfielders in the Premier League this season is Fulham's João Palinha, as the Portuguese star continues to prove his worth. Fulham has had a good season and wants to qualify for Europe at the end of the campaign. If they achieve that, the midfielder will get credit for his impressive performance on their team. He might not be a member of their squad in the next campaign if he keeps doing well, as a report in The Sun reveals he is a wanted man. It claims Arsenal has become the latest club to show an interest in the 27-year-old. The report adds that Newcastle, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea and Tottenham also have an interest in his signature. Considering the pedigree of the clubs interested in Palinha, the former Sporting man is clearly a quality player and has proved his worth in the Premier League this season. He is likely to be a cheaper than Declan Rice and Moses Caicedo, but he will be worth buying considering that he is very experienced. But the club listed above will also feel very confident that they can beat us in the race, which could drive up the price that Fulham eventually makes from his departure. Romano says Arsenal has been chasing Moussa Diaby for 2 years. According to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal has been chasing the signature of Moussa Diaby for 2 years. The French speedster has become one of their main attacking targets in the last few months, and they could make the transfer happen in the summer. If Diaby moves to London at the end of the season, it might seem the Gunners only just made the decision to add him to their squad. However, Romano reveals they have been watching him and working on the move for 2 years. He writes in his exclusive column on Count Offside, Arsenal have appreciated Moussa Diaby for a long time. It's almost 2 years following him, but the same happened with other clubs, including PSG and Newcastle. Bayer Leverkusen wanted to keep him last summer and in January. For this summer, it will depend on the value of the proposals. We scrapped our old scouting system and there was a lot of outcry at that decision, with some fans and pundits thinking we will no longer do a proper scouting job. However, we have since signed some of the fine players, and this revelation shows our new scouting system works very well. If Diaby eventually moves to the club, he will likely not be a flop because we have spent time studying him before making the decision. Arsenal could move swiftly to wrap up move for Declan Rice this summer. Journalist Simon Collins has told Give Me Sport that West Ham now know that Arsenal really want to sign Declan Rice this summer, and a bid could move quickly if the Gunners do make an offer. From the outside, it's looking increasingly likely that Rice will leave the London Stadium this summer. David Moyes' men have taken a few steps backwards this season. The Times reported several weeks ago that Rice is Arsenal's top target for the end of the campaign. Of course, strengthening in midfield is surely a must ahead of a likely Champions League return. Thomas Partey has been a regular fixture in Mikel Arteta's side this term, but Jorginho is not an obvious replacement following his arrival in January. Rice has the potential to be one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, and Collins believes that Arsenal could try and wrap up a deal quickly when the summer window arrives. He told Give Me Sport, West Ham are aware of Arsenal's interest, and Rice is aware that Arsenal like him as well. I feel like it's one where it's set up to move swiftly in the summer. If Arsenal push ahead with it, he is the number one target in midfield. He is the one they want. It would be a huge statement of intent for the Gunners to sign Rice. Arsenal finished 2 places lower than West Ham in the Premier League 2 years ago, and it seemed that he would eventually end up moving elsewhere when the time did come to leave. But Arsenal have to be considered amongst the favourites to secure his signature. The Gunners lead the way in the Premier League, and they have done it with the youngest squad in the division. So there is enormous potential there within the Arsenal ranks, and Rice may well want to become a big part of that heading into next season. The opportunity looks to be there for Arsenal, and it may be something which does not drag on too long heading into the summer window. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.